By 5:30 a.m., Lagos was already stretching. Okadas whining like restless insects, the first puff-puff trays steaming on street corners, a muezzin's call slipping between concrete like silk. I packed the originals into a clear folder, the custody order, hospital report, screenshots from Kemi, Sola's index of transfers, the Ziploc that held the flash drive like a small tooth, and slid everything into my tote. Timmy slept on, limbs flung like punctuation. I left a note for my neighbor, Mama Beezy. He wakes at 6:30. Please walk him to school. Inhaler is inside pocket. She texted back a thumbs up and a prayer emoji. Lagos shorthand for I've got you. The courthouse in Acacia smelled of paper, disinfectant, and the quiet panic of people asking the state to choose. By 7:45 a.m., the corridor outside family court buzzed. Danfo yellow neckties, cheap perfume, babies on hips, lawyers with files fat as novels. Cunnell stood at the far end with his counsel, a smooth man in a navy suit who wore a smile like a shield. Kemi hovered 3 strides behind them, a plain dress replacing her boutique dazzle. Remy found me with a nod that could level a building. Emergency motion to vary custody, she murmured, scanning the stamped copy. They're claiming you're alienating the child and weaponizing social media. Classic emotional manipulation camouflaged as concern. Do they have amnesia? I asked. There's a video of public disgrace, an emergency landing, a child with a wheeze. Remy's eyes warmed. We'll remind the court. The usher called us. Inside, the judge, Madam Justice Okonkwo, a woman with salt at her temples and eyes that could read a line of lies at 10 paces, took the bench. We rose, sat. The air conditioner hummed a steady bass line. Cunnell's lawyer sprang up first. My lord, this is an African marriage drama that has spilled onto the internet. My client has been maligned as a cheating spouse and now suffers reputational harm. The respondent, he gestured at me, has stirred public opinion, making co-parenting impossible. We seek to vary custody to joint physical custody, with an order restraining her from posting. Remy rose without hurry. My lord, this is not a drama. It is a record. The video before the court shows the applicant removing the child's mother from an aircraft moments before takeoff. The airline incident led to an emergency return due to the child's distress. The hospital report confirms an exacerbation. We attach the existing order granting the respondent primary custody. We also attach proof of child support arrears and screenshots illustrating a pattern of contempt toward the respondent's role. This is domestic betrayal and emotional manipulation turning into a safety issue. The judge leaned forward. Mr. Ajayi, she said, voice unhurried. Did you remove the child's mother from the aircraft? Cunnell stood, throat working. My lord, emotions were high. I regret. Yes or no? The judge pressed. Yes, my lord, he said, a whisper. The judge turned pages, lingered on the hospital report, the airline's brief note, the printed transcript of his single mothers should know their place line. When she looked up, the room's oxygen changed. Application to vary custody is refused, she said. The existing order remains. Travel with the child without the respondent's written consent is prohibited. Supervised visitation at a neutral center, 2 hours weekly, pending review. Applicant will enroll in a court-approved parenting course and file proof within 21 days. Child support arrears are payable within 30 days. Default will attract sanctions. Both parties will use a co-parenting application to document communication. Further, there will be no disparagement of the other parent in the child's hearing or on public platforms. Breach will invite contempt. Review in 6 weeks. She paused. Let the words settle like stones. A parent who creates public disgrace must not complain when the public looks, she added dryly. Court is not impressed by power plays. Cunnell's lawyer asked for a soft landing. The judge gave him a parachute with holes. Counsel may take your client's contrition to the supervised center, she said. The bailiff stamped the orders. The sound was a gavel in miniature. We filed out into the corridor where microphones bloomed like flowers after rain. Remy leaned toward me. Straight to EFCC, she said. Chain of custody on the drive. Then Ghana FIC call at 10. We won the morning on family. We secure the afternoon on finance. At the EFCC Ikoyi office, the lobby was all fluorescent honesty. A receptionist took our names. A wall-mounted TV murmured headlines about procurement fraud and a minister's nephew who ran out of road. An investigator in a crisp white shirt ushered us to a conference room that smelled faintly of toner and resolve. Remy set the flash drive on the table as if placing bread at communion. "Chain of custody letter," she said, sliding a document across. "Digital hash of the files, index of contents. The source, a company accountant, is willing to cooperate." The investigator nodded, gloved up, and plugged in. On the screen, folders appeared: Shoreline Logistics, Baycrest Holdings, Wire Midnight, voice notes. He clicked, scrolled, eyebrows inching north. Sola's timestamps walked their quiet march. Connell's late-night voice boasted of ministers and cousins and parking money where nobody checks. The investigator's pen scratched a patient rhythm. "We will mirror this and return the physical drive to you now," he said finally. "We'll send formal requests to the bank and to Ghana's Financial Intelligence Center. You may get calls from our colleagues. Do not discuss this outside counsel." My phone buzzed. Sola. "Board suspended him, madam." CFO escalated. IT froze admin access. "He's raging." A second ping from an unknown Accra number. Officer Mensa confirmed receipt of the EFCC's alert. "Flagged entities exist. We are watching." The text read, polite as a suit. When we stepped into Ikoyi heat, my tote felt lighter. Consequences had been passed from mother to state. Brick to courthouse. Evidence to those who could make it bite. For a moment, I allowed myself the quiet section of the song. Bougainvillea spilling over a compound wall. A hawker calling, "Pure water." The lagoon smelling like coins and salt. By noon, I was back in Acadia, tucking the returned flash drive into a new envelope, labeling it mirrored, custody safe. I texted the supervised center. Saturday, 2 to 4 p.m. Confirmed. They replied with a map, rules, no gifts, no coaching, no phones, and an emoji that somehow looked judicious. At 2, I joined Timmy's class on the school field for pickup time. Boys chased a ball across red dust. A bell clanged. Teachers herded oblivion into lines. Timmy saw me and ran, shoelace flapping, joy a flag. "Mummy, coach said my left foot is improving. It's getting famous." I grinned, and he laughed, winded but bright. We walked home past a woman selling oranges, a tailor's table buzzing under a neem tree, a poster for a church vigil promising restoration tonight. Lagos offers a miracle every hour if you squint. Back at the flat, I cooked ifo riro heavy with crayfish, turned the radio to an old Onika song, and let the day exhale. I thought of USA women who watched our story, mothers and aunties who knew the language of domestic betrayal and resilience, who had moved through cheating and co-parenting conflict, who understood revenge stories that choose repair. I plated food, called my neighbor to say thank you again, and set aside a portion for her. Community is a currency that never devalues. At 6, my phone lit with a message from Kemi. I signed an affidavit. "Remy has it. I'm leaving for Port Harcourt tomorrow. Thank you for not humiliating me online." I stared at the words, felt pity pass through me without lingering. "Find work that doesn't require apology," I typed back. She sent a lone heart. At 7, Remy called. "We've secured a financial preservation order. Temporary freeze on the suspect corporate accounts," she said, the smile audible. "Ghana FIC will reciprocate. Review hearing in 2 weeks. And, good news, your supervised center slot is confirmed. The judge liked that you requested it formally." "Thank you," I said, setting plates on the table. "I'm trying to build a story my son can live inside." "You're doing it," she replied, "brick by brick." We ate. Timmy telling me about a classmate who could whistle like a bird, me nodding like I hadn't just handed a flash drive to a federal investigator. After dishes, we read. After reading, he prayed in a child's way, short, bossy, effective. I tucked him in, checked the inhaler pouch, kissed his forehead. The night pressed its ear to our window. Generator cough, distant laughter, a passing siren, somewhere a gospel rehearsal melting into high life. I put the tote by the door, ready for tomorrow's supervised center paperwork. I also set my phone to loud, not anxiety, preparedness. At 8:43 p.m., the school's number appeared on my screen. My stomach dropped, a conditioned reflex. "Hello," I managed. "Good evening, Madam Adana," the head teacher said, voice clipped but kind. "Nothing to panic about. Timmy is home, yes?" "Yes. Sleeping." "Good." The new security system flagged an attempt at pickup this afternoon 30 minutes before closing. A man claimed to be uncle from father's side. He had no code. We refused, of course. "We've sent the CCTV still to your email. We are required to inform both parents of such incidents." The room tilted, then straightened. "Did he give a name?" "No. He left when we insisted on the code and called you. I thought you should know." "Thank you," I said, the word stiff with contained weather. "I will send the new court order to your office tonight." I hung up, opened my email, and saw the still. A man in a baseball cap, head down at the gate, familiar in that cousin of a cousin way. My thumb hovered over Cunnell's number. If he sent someone, it meant brinkmanship. If he didn't, it meant somebody else in his collapsing orbit thought to play hero. Either way, it was threat dressed as family. I forwarded the image to Remy with one line. Attempted pickup without code. Then to the officer who served the morning order. Then, after a long breath, to Cunnell. "Did you send someone for Timmy today? This is a straight question. Answer carefully." The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, reappeared, stopped. My front gate clanked. Not a knock. Metal on metal, deliberate and slow, like knuckles dragging along the bars to make a sound my body would feel. I moved to the window and parted the curtain a finger's width. A shadow stood just outside the compound light. A cap. A phone glowing, a small blue square. The shape looked up, as if it could sense me through concrete. "Adana." A man's voice called softly through the dark. Not Cunnell. Not Sola. Another voice, old with entitlement. "Open. We should talk. Family to family." My tote sat by the door, the flash drive labeled and ready, the court order still warm from the morning. I looked at my sleeping child, at the chain on the door, at the small living room where I had promised him sky calm and ground honest. "Who sent you?" I said, loud enough to carry, throat steady. The shadow chuckled. "Men who don't like court," he said. "Open first. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories on Folktales by Olabisi." What should Adana do? Call the police immediately, confront the stranger through the gate, or ring Cunnell and force him to own this? Comment your strategy below, and share this with someone who understands co-parenting conflict and the cost of domestic betrayal. Open. Family to family. The man's voice slid under the door like smoke. I kept my hand on the chain and my eyes on Timmy's sleeping face. "State your name," I said, loud enough for the courtyard to hear, "and step into the light." A pause. Then the cap tilted back. The security bulb cut his face into hard planes. I knew the nose, the jaw, the way the mouth curved before a lie. Cunnell's mother's older brother, Uncle Felix, the man who liked to sit at weddings and distribute advice like raffle tickets. "Adana," he said, eyebrows lifting. "Aha, are we strangers?" "I came in peace." "Peace uses daytime," I replied. "What do you want?" He chuckled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You are carrying this African marriage drama to YouTube, to EFCC, to Ghana. Is it good? Do you want the boy to grow hearing people call his father thief? Open the gate. Let's settle like family. No need for public disgrace." Behind him, 2 shapes shifted in the shadows near the street. A small saloon car idling, a driver's elbow poking out. My skin went cold. "Family did not help me when he kicked me off the plane," I said. "Family did not hold my child's breath. If you have something to say it through the bars." He leaned closer. "Withdraw your petitions. Stop shouting online. Take a reasonable settlement, and this whole talk of infidelity in marriage and co-parenting conflict will calm. You are young. You can marry again. He smiled the way men do when they think they are offering a gift. I'm not shouting, I said softly. I'm documenting. I lifted my phone and pressed record. Please repeat your offer for the camera. Something in his face set. Don't be foolish, he snapped. We are trying to stop shame. This EFCC matter can enter places you cannot imagine. Men who don't like court will start looking at you. Is that what you want? I want my child safe and the law honest, I said. And I want you to leave. Now. He put both palms on the gate and whispered with a small, short laugh. Adana, don't start what you cannot finish. Before I could answer, a phone rang inside the saloon car. The driver hissed. They have reached Lekki Gate. Nah now. Oga, we move. Felix's head twitched toward the sound. News flying faster than threats. He let the bars go, composed his face, and stepped back. We will talk again, he said and walked away, the cap sliding low. I waited until the red of their tail lights melted into the busier red of the next junction before I sank to the floor and let my heart bang. I texted Remy the video and called the estate security to log a visit. Then I checked every bolt, every window, every pouch where the blue inhaler sleeps. Timmy turned in bed and sighed. I stroked his hair. Sky calm, I whispered. Ground honest. Morning brought proof that the city keeps receipts. At 9 a.m., videos flooded. Kunnel's company lobby in Lekki filled with staff clutching coffee cups like charms. An HR man cleared his throat. Town hall, he said, voice trying for brave. 2 EFCC officers in white shirts walked in quiet as law. No handcuffs, no show. Just a gentle hand. A small nod. A man being escorted out while his legend shrank behind him. Ngozi called, breathless. Babe, they came for him like closing time. Someone wrote, when pride meets paper, in the comments. Sola texted you. Asking. I typed. The reply came quick. They took his laptop. Board suspended him pending investigation. CFO is fully cooperating. I am safe so far. Good, I said. Stay in daylight. Remy phoned next. I saw the town hall clips, she said. And I watched your video of Uncle Felix. Save that. It shows pressure. Intimidation complements our narrative of emotional manipulation. If he returns, call police immediately. I've also sent the preservation order to the school and your estate. Thank you, Auntie. At noon, the EFCC investigator wants a short follow-up on Baycrest Holdings, she added. And Accra's FIC scheduled a 3 p.m. video call. Dress calmly. I laughed despite myself. I will wear my calm Ankara. Timmy's supervised visit was still 2 days away, but I began packing a small bag as if for war. Extra inhaler, snacks, a printed copy of the new orders, pens. When mothers pack, the world behaves. By mid-morning, my neighbor Mama Beezy tapped the door with 2 knuckles. I saw one man last night, she said, voice pitched to gossip, eyes pitched to warning. I told the security. This compound no be cinema. She lowered her voice. If you need me, I am here. My brother is a policeman who still fears God. I hugged her and passed a bowl of Ifo Riro. Lagos runs on diesel and neighbors. At noon, I sat in EFCC's small conference room while the investigator clicked through the mirrored drive. Here, he said, tapping a wire labeled Baycrest. We asked the bank for the signatories. Your accountant friend's timeline aligns with a 7:47 p.m. transfer. We've sent a stop order. Ghana is already alert. Thank you, I said, not letting relief bloom too fast. Do not engage with any family emissaries, he warned. We see it often, pressure to withdraw. If anyone comes again, call our liaison. I recorded last night's visit, I said, and slid my phone across. He watched the clip, eyes narrowing. Good, he said, but keep your door closed. Pride under stress can become foolishness. Back home, I set my phone on the table and breathed with my shoulders. The flat held its warm peace. The bucket by the door, the multiplication chart, the smell of stew. Then, at 2:13 p.m., my school's number flashed. My stomach clenched, a reflex that mothers know too well. Good afternoon, Madam Adana, the head teacher said, clipped but kind. Just to reassure you, our gates are secure. However, a man matching last night's description tried to loiter by the fence at lunch. Our guard told him to move. He did. We have informed the local police post. Thank you, I said. I've emailed the court order and a photo from the CCTV. Received, she said. We are watching. I hung up and stared at the table. The word watching felt like a roof. I texted the estate group chat a polite warning. Please do not open for unknown visitors to flat 4B. All deliveries go through gatehouse. The aunties put prayer hands. The uncles put thumbs ups. The boy in 1A who DJs on weekends put a clap emoji. The city hummed. At 3 p.m., I sat before my laptop in my calm Ankara. Officer Mensa from Accra appeared on screen, neat, grave. Madam, we have flagged Shoreline Logistics and Baycrest Holdings, he said. We see attempts to open new accounts. We have set alerts. If the funds enter our system, we will freeze pending inquiry. Thank you, I said. I'll keep feeding any new information through counsel. He nodded. We appreciate your forthrightness. It helps us move quickly. After the call, I stood by the window a long time. The neighborhood soccer boys had marked a goal with slippers. A hawker argued sweetly with a customer who only wanted to spend 50 naira. A girl pushed a plastic chair on its back legs and rode it like a horse. Life refused to shrink for my fear. I let my shoulders drop. At 5, my phone buzzed with a new number and a familiar entitlement inside the ring. Uncle Felix again. I declined. He called again. Declined. He sent a text. Stubbornness no be wisdom. Last chance before elders move. I forwarded it to Remy and to the investigator, then blocked the number. Elders can move small or big. The law moves larger. At 6, the news cycle did what it does. Sharpened, then splintered. One blog ran #PlainShameDad escorted by EFCC. Another countered with ambitious single mother weaponizes internet. The comments performed their usual war. I cooked jollof and decided the internet wasn't invited to dinner. Timmy practiced his spelling while I stirred the pot. Betrayal, he sounded out, small brow furrowed. How do you spell that, mummy? I swallowed and chose an easier word. Let's do brave instead. He grinned. BRAVE. He drew a star next to it. My heart did the same. After dishes, we danced a little to an old Onika cassette that still lives in a plastic case under the TV. We laughed, he yawned, and the world narrowed to the rectangle of his bed and the cool of his forehead under my palm. When he slept, I locked the door, checked the windows, and laid the new court order on the table like a shield. At 8:07 p.m., Sola called, voice pitched tight. Madam, I think they followed me. Where are you? In a kiki heading to CMS. 2 men at the office gate were asking my name. I cut through the back. I'm going to my cousin's place in Ajij. My phone might die. If anything, tell EFCC I tried. You're not alone, I said. Send me your cousin's address. I'll alert the investigator now. He rattled off a street, something tinny in the line already. Thank you. Your video gave me courage. When you said, I'm documenting, I understood. The call cut. I messaged the investigator, dropped a pin, added urgent, possible witness intimidation. A single tick. Then 2. Received. Will ping Lagos command. Another message from Remy. Stay inside. Keep the chain on. Your neighbor knows to call if she hears anything. 9 o'clock found me on the rug with my back to the door again. The way women sit when their bodies remember doors are important. I scrolled quietly to keep my mind from running ahead. Then a clip surfaced, shaky and low-lit. The exact company town hall I'd watched earlier from another angle. It showed Kunnel looking toward the entrance just as the EFCC officer stepped in, relief flashing weirdly before shame. For a second, I saw him as a boy who wanted a parent to tell him to stop. I closed the clip. Compassion is not a policy. It is a weather that blows through and keeps moving. The generator coughed, settled. A gecko clicked from the ceiling. My phone vibrated on the table so hard it skittered and knocked the flash drive envelope to the floor. A message from an unknown number glowed. Leave the drive at the mosque gate by dawn and pull the petitions, or the witness will disappear before morning. Family to family. Last offer. A second later, my screen filled with a photo grainy zoomed. Sola, hunched at a bus stop, looking left. A motorbike idling 2 meters behind him. The rider's cap low. My mouth went dry. Another ping. Tick-tock. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories on Folktales by Olabisi. If you were Adana, what would you do right now? Call the police and risk spooking the men? Rush to protect Sola? Or set a trap with EFCC at the mosque gate? Comment your strategy below, and share this with someone who understands the cost of domestic betrayal, emotional manipulation, and the fight for honest ground. The message glared on my screen like a match head. Leave the drive at the mosque gate by dawn and pull the petitions, or the witness will disappear before morning. Family to family. Last offer. Then the photo of Sola at the bus stop, hunched, cap low, a motorbike idling behind him like bad weather. I didn't let panic become action. I put it on a leash. I screenshot the threats, forwarded them to Remy and the EFCC investigator, and called Mama Beezy to slide her bolt in case anyone got ideas about neighbors. Then I sat on the floor with my back to the door and made a plan. Remy called first, voice crisp. We set the trap on our terms, never theirs. Send me the exact mosque location. Obalend, the old one by the tea sellers, I said, pulling the curtains a finger's width to check the street. They want the drop at dawn. Perfect, she replied. I'll loop the investigator and the divisional police. You do not go alone. You carry a decoy. The real drive stays sealed in your flat or on your body where only an angel can reach it. I looked at the envelope on my table. The label I'd written mirrored custody safe. Decoy will be a twin, I said. And Auntie, they sent a picture of Sola. EFCC has already pinged Lagos Command with his last location, she said. He texted me too. He's moving to his cousins in Ajij. We'll route a patrol near there. Breathe, Adana. I breathed the way I taught Timmy. In out candle breath. Outside, Lagos Midnight rehearsed its orchestra. Generators clearing throats. A Danfo arguing with a pothole. A couple quarreling tenderly in Yoruba. I packed the decoy, a dead USB and a printed chain of custody letter that said nothing at all, and slid the real flash drive into a tiny pouch sewn inside my bra. Mother's hide snacks there. Tonight I hid a city's receipts. At 4:42 a.m., the call to prayer laced the pre-dawn. A silver thread pulling the dark into shape. I left a note for Timmy. Back in 30, Mama Beezy will listen for you if you wake. Inhaler is by your pillow. And texted my neighbor again. She replied with a single eye emoji. I day look. The road to Obalend was half asleep and fully alert. Newspaper vans coughing ink at junctions. Men with flasks selling scalding tea and bread. Okadas idling like dragonflies. The mosque's green light washed the pavement, and the faithful moved in soft slippers like a tide. Remy's car idled 2 streets away, black paint soaking shadows. EFCC's unmarked sedan sat where hawkers would soon spread combs, and 2 plainclothes men blended into the tea crowd in plastic slippers and small frowns. Drop time is 5:10, the investigator said over the phone. You approach from the right, move like you're nervous because you are. We will not spook the fish until we see the hand that grabs the bait. Copy? I said, hating the word bait and loving the plan. I walked with a woman's walk. Keys laced between fingers, tote strap crossing my chest, chin high enough to see, low enough not to invite. The tea seller glanced up, read a story on my face, and poured a glass anyway. Sugar. Half, I said. Sweetness helps courage. At 5:08, I placed the padded envelope by the low wall where shoes sleep during prayers. It looked like a donation with secrets. My heart did the small drum. I stepped back, sipped tea, tried to look like a woman texting an apology to a lover who didn't deserve it. 3 men ghosted near the gate. One wore a cap too low for prayers. Another kept his phone face up like a mirror. The third had a limp that would be useful in court later. The one with the cap looked at the envelope at me, then turned his head exactly the way Uncle Felix had done at my gate, listening to a call the air made. He nodded once, stooped, and palmed the package. Now, the investigator murmured in my ear. The street unfolded. Two plainclothes peeled off the T-bench like shadows deciding to be men. An unmarked car cut forward and kissed the curb. The cap man spun, ran, hit the limp man by accident, stumbled, kept moving. I didn't think. I moved, two sideways, not toward, but enough to put my body between the runner and the Okada he was about to mount. He feinted right. I stepped left. The EFCC officer rapped him, clean and hard. Easy, the officer told the street. Government matter. The man fought like a cornered story, elbow catching my shoulder. Pain flared. I refused it entry. The cap came off. A face upturned. I knew the cheekbones. Shoreline logistics. I breathed. Cousin. He froze, the way men do when a stranger knows their grandma. The unmarked car door opened. Hands gentled him inside. Another officer picked up the envelope and turned it once like bread, then raised his eyebrows at me. Decent decoy. Women pack, I said. My hands shook only when I wrapped them around the tea glass again. Remy arrived on foot, plain wrapper on her elegance. You good? Shoulder says hello, I said. She smiled without humor. Shoulder will write an affidavit later. The officer approached with his phone. We found this on him. He flipped the screen. Messages from O.Felix punctuated the chat. Collect and call. Then go to school gate to talk sense. Code is with Cunnell's mother. Another thread with a foreign number. Accra door closes by 10. If drive not in hand, plan B. Plan B? I asked. He slid his finger to the next lines. Supervised center. Confusion. Remove the boy to grandma's house to calm matters. My stomach dropped. Supervised centers are designed to tame chaos, not invite it. But chaos has cousins. They want to create a scene and call it rescue, I said, tasting metal. Co-parenting conflict dressed like love for the crowd. Remy's eyes hardened. We'll warn the center now. They'll add police presence to the lobby and require IDs and the court app check-in. Put Timmy's photo on the do not release without code board. I added, feeling the old fear climb my spine like a stubborn child. And send the judge this chat before she finishes her morning tea. Already drafting, Remy said. Thumbs a blur. The mosque spilled people. Dawn took a breath and then became morning. I watched the men we'd caught absorb the shape of consequence. No handcuffs, only firm hands. No noise, only paper. Public disgrace was learning how to whisper. On the way home, I sent a voice note to the head teacher. Please expect an email. New security notes, additional court order, and a picture of a man who loiters. We are safe, but we are careful. Received, she texted back. We are careful with you. At the flat, Timmy was awake and hopeful, hair in tiny rebellions. Mummy, today is art, he announced, waving a crumpled timetable. I need bottle caps. Children make requests that hold the world together. I promised we'd find some. Checked the inhaler pouch, added a second one because mothers learn, packed lunch, tucked the court order into my tote. Normal was a raft and I climbed on. On the road to school, Lagos tried to be a poem. A hawker with oranges balanced like a crown, a choir rehearsing at a corner church, an elderly man reading The Guardian with one finger under each line. My body loosened. I put Timmy's hand in mine an extra second at the gate and made the goodbye longer without making it heavy. He rolled his eyes. Mummy, I'm fine. You are fine, I said, and meant we are working so you can stay fine. Back home, I cleaned the shoulder bruise with a cloth and allowed 10 minutes for the ache to speak, then told it to sit down. Remy called at noon. Judge acknowledged receipt. She's adding a warning about third-party interference, naming the supervised center specifically. EFCC has your runner. He's already singing off-key. Ghana froze one more attempt to open an account, this time with a UK number. We are ahead today. Today, I echoed. Revenge story was too simple for this. This was a maintenance manual, an African marriage drama being cleaned with small tools. Forms, calls, witnesses, aunties, breakfast, prayers. At 1:50 p.m., I packed for the supervised visit with the paranoia that love deserves. Court order copies, the co-parenting app on my phone open and ready, a list of Timmy's triggers, heat, noise, long queues, snacks approved by the center, a spare t-shirt, 2 inhalers, and a small toy car he calls Coconut. We arrived at 1:58. The receptionist smiled a knowing smile, the kind a nurse uses before a vaccination. "Good afternoon, Madam Adana. We've updated our protocols." "Thank you," I said, handing over the order and my ID. "I appreciate your eyes." Kunnel arrived at 2:06 p.m., and I almost didn't recognize him. The shine was gone. He'd shaved the edge of his beard that used to be his signature. He looked 10 years closer to true. "Good afternoon," he said to the receptionist, to me, to the floor. His eyes found Timmy's and softened like I remember they can. "Hey, champ." They went to a small room with glass like aquarium walls. A counselor perched where she pretended to read notes and actually read everything. I sat on the bench with my tote and a woman from Teslim Street whose ex brought lollipops that were not allowed. We exchanged the thin smile of women in the same waiting room of life. Behind the glass, Kunnel tried to be simple. "Daddy did wrong," he said, arranging toy cars into a line he could follow. "I made a bad choice on the plane. I am learning to make good choices." Timmy pushed Coconut along the table and nodded like a judge hearing a plea. "Don't make my mummy cry again," he said, voice clear. "I won't," Kunnel answered, and maybe meant it. At 3:12 p.m., 2 men in white kaftans hovered too long near the check-in desk. The receptionist's eyes sharpened. She touched a button. A uniformed officer appeared without appearing. The men retreated, smiles plastic. A minute later, an alert pinged the co-parenting app. Third-party attempted entry. Denied. The counselor didn't even look up. The quiet felt like a victory. For 20 minutes, I allowed myself to believe the worst of the day had been caught in a net and tagged. Then my phone vibrated with a name that still lived in my marrow. Uncle Felix. Blocked, yes, but he found a new number. The message was a photograph. A room I recognized. A living room with lace curtains, plastic-covered sofa. A framed photo of a young Kunnel in NYSC khaki on the wall. On the center table, a brown envelope with a court seal, unopened. On the side, a notebook with dates and amounts and names, columns like ribs. Under the picture, his text. "You think you won? Read the back page. You don't know the minister's brother's real job. Today was rehearsal. Act 2 is Accra, with or without your consent." He sent a second photo, the back page. I zoomed. At the bottom, a line in a familiar hand, Kunnel's handwriting. From the days he wrote love notes and project lists. It said, "Plan C if EFCC bites. Custody variation by surprise. Ghana court. Child as witness of emotional manipulation. Flights booked under other names. Sunday. 2 days from now." The counselor raised her head in the aquarium room as if she felt the message move through glass. Kunnel reached for a car and watched his son instead. My tote strap cut my shoulder. My phone buzzed again. "Tick-tock," Felix wrote. "Minister's brother greets you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories on Folktales by Olabisi." What should Adana do now? Rush to seek an international injunction, confront Kunnel inside the center, or set another sting that reaches across to Accra? Comment your strategy below if you've ever faced co-parenting conflict, domestic betrayal, or emotional manipulation, and share this with someone who believes the law should fly faster than a cheating spouse's plans. I didn't answer Felix. I slid the phone across the glass to the counselor and let her read. Her eyebrows climbed. Her training held. She tapped the panic icon under the desk. A silent call to the front, and slid my phone back like a nurse returning a thermometer. "We'll close the visit gently," she whispered. "You step out the staff door. We'll escort father separately. No scenes for the child." Behind the glass, Kunnel pushed 2 toy cars into a straight line. "Daddy is learning," he told Timmy. "I will keep you safe." I swallowed the taste of iron and nodded to the counselor. She rose, smiled big, and said, 5-minute warning, superstars. Timmy groaned. Connell nodded, reading her tone. I slipped through the staff corridor that smelled of crayons and sanitizer, texted Remy the photos Felix sent, and stood under a poster that said we keep children first until my heart remembered how to count without stumbling. At the exit, the receptionist returned my ID and the court order. Police posted at the lobby for the next week, she murmured. Your co-parenting app pinged, third party denied, at 3:12. We logged it. You're not alone. Thank you, I said, meaning more than the words could carry. Outside, the air had the clean taste Lagos sometimes gives you after it rains. Diesel, dust, and a thread of leaf. I called Remy in the car. The photo shows a notebook in Felix's house, I said. He wrote Plan C. Ghana court on Sunday, child as witness of emotional manipulation. Flights under other names. Remy didn't waste breath on outrage. We'll move on 2 tracks, she said. Family and finance. For family, we file tonight for an anti-removal order and a mirror request to Ghana. No variation of custody there without notice to you. I'll retain a Ghanaian colleague to file first thing. For finance, EFCC and Ghana FIC are already awake. I want immigration watching the minor's passport at all points. I have his passport, I said, squeezing the tote. But they may try road or forged consent. Then we lock doors and windows, she replied. NIS can flag his name. Schools and the supervised center already require the code. And yes, men like Felix use minister's brother as a scarecrow. We will find the real job under that wrapper. Sola texted mid-call. Safe at Cousins. Police cruiser idling on the street. Someone asked for me at work. CFO told them to write official letter. Thank you. I exhaled and told Remy. Good, she said. 1 witness under a roof. I got home before sunset and did small normal things that feel like holy. Boiled water for Gary, wrote art bottle caps on the chalkboard, washed Timmy's socks and pinned them on the line, face to the breeze. Then the hard normal. Scanned Felix's photos, named the files in simple English, plants underscore written, plants underscore back page, Felix text underscore TikTok, and dropped them into the folder I'd named Brick. Paper is brick, Remy says. Tonight I believed it. An hour later, my phone buzzed with a contact I had never met. Akojua Nyarko, barrister and solicitor, Accra. Her message was clean as a lawyer's shoes. Madam Adana, Ms. Remy briefed me. We can apply at dawn for a protective order recognizing your Nigerian custody order and enjoining any Ghana court from entertaining ex parte variation regarding the child until you are heard. We will also notify Ghana Immigration and DAVSU. Please send certified copies. Rest if you can. Thank you, I typed. Sending now. I felt the bridge reach across the Gulf of Guinea, paper to paper, woman to woman. Night pawed at the windows. I checked bolts, set a stool against the back door, clicked the chain. Timmy built a city of bottle caps and called a row of blue ones airport lights. We ate jollof and giggled at sauce on his chin. When he slept, I laid the originals under my mattress like cash in a house where the bank once failed its customers. Then, at 10:17 p.m., my screen flared with Kemi's name. I found it, she wrote. Then a video arrived. Felix and a man in a pale Agbada on a veranda. Loud laughter. Envelopes changing tables. A whisper that sounded like, Registrar go stamp him Sunday, holiday or not, just bring the file. Kemi's caption. Minister's brother is not a minister's brother. He works in a court registry. He blesses late papers. I sent the clip to Remy and Akojua with one line. Greece identified. Remy replied in seconds. Lovely. Tomorrow we greet the Greece with light. Sleep came on me like a soft thief and then left quick. Morning sat at my window, tapping its foot. At 7:18 a.m., Akojua pinged. Filed. Judge granted interim order, recognition of your Nigerian order, no removal without consent, no Ghana court variation ex parte. Served on immigration and registry. Copy attached. The PDF looked like a shield. I forwarded it to Remy. She sent it to the supervised center, the school, and the EFCC investigator with the subject line, "Bridge secured." We didn't walk like hunted people Saturday. We walked like careful ones. We picked bottle caps outside the corner shop. We bought Zobo and Suya from a man who asked God to bless your small boy with big heart. We watched a street soccer game where the goalkeeper was also the referee and the DJ. At noon, I taught Timmy to rinse paintbrushes so water runs clear. At 3, NIS replied to Remy's letter, "Minor Ajayi Timmy," flagged. No departure without both parents' consent or court leave. Paper, brick, bridge, bolt. By evening, the news ran a clip from the EFCC. "We advise the public against interfering with witnesses," a crisp voice said, eyes straight into the camera. "We will prosecute intimidation." I stirred stew and let the warning simmer the house with the scent of pepper. Then came Sunday's edge. At 5:52 a.m., my phone rang with a number I recognized now like a weather forecast. Akojua's. "They filed," she said without greeting. "Felix found a registrar who tried an ex parte variation. Our order was already on the file. The judge refused and has set a hearing, with both sides, if they insist." "Thank you," I breathed. "Madam," she added, voice turning from silk to wire, "tell your police to watch roads. If they can't use the plane, they may try Same or Itaroko. I'll advise Ghana police and our immigration to watch a fleo." I texted Remy and the EFCC investigator. "Possible road attempt today. Accra Council warns watch Same/Itaroko. Please notify." 2 blue ticks. Then 3 dots. Then, circulating now, from the investigator. Remy added, "Stay in. If you must move, move with company. Keep your neighbor close." At 9:06 a.m., Kemi sent a license plate photo, dusty SUV, boots stuffed with bags. "He thinks you're sleeping. Grandma inside. Felix driving. Leaving Lekki Gate now. Direction." I typed, "Badagry Road," she wrote. "He told driver to avoid checkpoints." I forwarded everything, my fingers calm the way hands sometimes go when the rest of you screams. The investigator replied, "Same alerted. Patrols redeployed." A second later, Amaka, Kunnel's sister, called, whispering, "Auntie is at my mother's house with her Sunday bag. She just left. I don't support this. I'll stand with you." "Thank you," I said, holding the phone like a hand. At 10:13 a.m., a crisp message arrived from a number labeled simply Same. SUV stopped. Occupants, 2 men, 1 older woman. No child. In boot. Cash. A fake Ghana court order, and a notarized consent letter with your forged signature. "We will convey to station." I sat on the floor and let relief stagger me. Not my child. Not today. I sent a voice note to the investigator that probably sounded like a prayer and a laugh in a blender. He replied, "Consequence writes in full sentences." The victory was small and it was large. Put me on my feet. I made tea. I opened windows. I allowed 5 minutes for gratitude to stretch in my chest like a cat. At 11:02 a.m., my doorbell rang. A neat knock, official rhythm. My neighbor peeked through her curtain first, then called, "Uniform." Oh, I checked the peephole. A court bailiff with a brown envelope, another man holding out a body camera, the way transparency now travels. "Madam Adana?" the bailiff asked when I opened with the chain on. "Service." He slid the envelope through the gap. The seal wore Ghana's crest. Inside, an ex parte order, signed yesterday afternoon in a circuit court in Accra, that purported, Akojua's word later, to grant temporary custody to the father due to emotional manipulation and alienation by the mother, referencing a witness statement from a family elder, Felix. The order did not mention our mirror protective order filed that morning, because chronology does not always play fair. It was already traveling by courier, recruited to confuse. My phone rang on cue. "Remy, don't panic," she said. "It is not enforceable here without registration, which we will oppose. Akojua is already before a judge setting it aside. But men who like a show will wave paper at gates. Expect them." As if the city were a stage director taking notes, a car door slammed outside. Another. Voices layered, male, familiar, practiced confidence poured into the shape of concern. I put the order on the table between the bottle caps and the inhaler pouch, told my heart to lie down, and checked the bolts again. The gate clanged. A hand rattled the bars. Open! A voice called, carrying oil and smoke. We have a Ghana court order. Hand over the child now. Family to family. I looked at the camera by the door, at the panic icon on my phone, at the small boy in the next room who trusted me more than oxygen. Then I stepped toward the door and spoke so the whole compound would hear. Court is not a passport, I said. This house is a border. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping folktales by Olabisi. What should Adana do? Call in the police for an immediate arrest. Read the Ghana order aloud on camera and dismantle the lie, or rally neighbors to witness and shame the attempt. Comment your strategy below, and share with someone who understands domestic betrayal, co-parenting conflict, and how a cheating spouse can weaponize paper. Court is not a passport. This house is a border. My voice carried down the corridor, through the gate, across the courtyard where neighbors pretended not to watch and watched with full attention. A baby stopped crying. A generator coughed and thought better of it. The men at the gate, 2 in pressed caftans and 1 in a threadbare suit, stiffened like grammar corrected in public. We are here for peace, the man in the suit announced, holding up a stamped paper like a holy book. Ghana court has granted temporary custody to the father. We will take the child to calm matters. Family to family. Peace uses the front desk at the police station, I replied. I raised my phone so the camera blinked red. Read your order aloud. Slowly. For the video. He hesitated. The neighbor in flat 2C, the DJ boy, opened his window and rested a speaker on the sill without turning it on. Just a silent reminder that sound travels. Mama Beezy stepped into the courtyard with her wrapper tied high and her eyes tied higher. We are listening, she said to the air. The caftan man cleared his throat. It says, Ex part order granting temporary custody to the father due to emotional manipulation by the mother. Date? I asked. Saturday, he read. And today? I asked. Sunday, he muttered, puzzled by his own trap. Good, I said, lifting a second paper toward the camera. The protective order Akojua had filed at dawn. Because this morning, Ghana's High Court recognized Nigeria's custody order and blocked any ex parte variations. This, I pointed to my page, is the new law. Yours is yesterday's news. He blinked, confused in that way people are when a woman speaks paper to them. We have elders, he tried, weaker now. We just want to calm the child. You mean remove him, I said, without my consent, with forged papers. After failing at the airport and at Sameh, I let the words walk. You can leave now, or you can meet the police in my sitting room. Something shifted at the back gate, a small ripple in the compound's air. The estate guard stepped in with 2 officers, one from the local division, one in plain clothes with a narrow face I recognized from EFCC's office. He flashed a badge without theater. Good afternoon, he said pleasantly. We received a complaint about attempted interference with a court order. Gentlemen, your IDs. The suit man's smile died. He handed over a plastic card that looked new enough to squeak. The caftan men produced nothing and tried to produce innocence instead. The FCC's eyes were bored. You were at Oberland Mosque at dawn, he told one, tone casual. You ran badly. They wilted the way leaves do in dry season. The officer took the Ghana order from the suit man, scanned it, and shook his head. Not registered here, he said. Not enforceable. And even if it were registered, it would be superseded by the newer order she holds. This is what happens when you play with paper. He looked at me. Madam, do you want them arrested for attempt and intimidation? I glanced beyond the bars. In the neighbor's window, a child watched with huge eyes. I thought of Timmy asleep inside, of co-parenting conflict turning to poison when adults must show off. I want them removed, I said, voice steady. And I want a warning filed. If they return, arrest. The officers nodded. Gentlemen, follow us. The plainclothes said, "We will learn your names properly." They went, shoulders smaller, dignity dragging behind like a torn wrapper. When the gate clicked shut and the courtyard exhaled, the DJ boy turned on his speaker. Not music, only a clean click that said, "We heard." Mama Beezy squeezed my arm hard enough to leave prints. "You talk like radio," she said, proud. I hugged her and shut the door softly, too tired now for triumph. Inside, I found Timmy kneeling on the bed, cars lined like prayers. "Mummy?" he whispered, as if the air could carry trouble. "Is the sky calm?" "The sky is listening," I said, kneeling to kiss his forehead. "And the ground is honest." He nodded, satisfied with that weather report, and went back to deciding which car should win without making the others cry. The week that followed moved like a careful dance. Step, check, breathe. EFCC charged Cunnell's cousin with attempted witness interference and obstruction. The Ghana registrar who blessed late papers found her name stuck to the light. An internal investigation launched. In Lagos, the family court called both sides. I wore a simple ankara and a backbone. Cunnell stood on our side of the bar, no longer the man who directed rooms with a watch face. He looked at me the way a pen looks at paper before becoming harder truths. The judge asked all the necessary questions, asked some unexpected ones, then spoke in that calm voice that makes heat sit down. "The child's safety and stability are paramount," she said. "You will both attend co-parenting classes. You will both use the communication app. Mr. Ajayi, you will maintain supervised access until the center recommends otherwise. You will clear arrears within the time ordered. You will not deploy extended family to interfere. Madam Adana, you will encourage a healthy relationship with the father as he earns it. We will review in 6 weeks." She paused, looking over her glasses. "This is a story about a boy, not about winning. Choose your lines accordingly." After court, in the corridor buzz where people pretend not to eavesdrop, Cunnell came to me like a man who finally knows where the ground is. "Thank you," he said, voice even, "for not letting me become the worst version of myself." "This isn't for you," I answered. "It's for him." I nodded toward the center where Timmy would play with blocks again next Saturday. "But if you keep telling the truth, everyone wins." He swallowed. "I told EFCC everything I know," he said, eyes on a point far beyond me. "I'm paying back what I can." I joined the parenting class. We talked about oxygen masks. He almost smiled. "They made us practice with teddy bears." "Teddy bears are good trainers," I said. For a heartbeat, we were 2 parents laughing in a small apartment years ago. A pot of EFO on the stove and money tight and hope not yet torn. Then the moment closed gently. "Keep going," I added. Brick by brick. Weeks became months with the steady pace of a sewing machine. The supervised center wrote kind notes about progress. Timmy learned to tie his laces without crying at the knot. The school security started greeting me by name and code. Ghana's order became a settled page in a settled file. Accra's FIC sent a tidy letter. Funds recovered. Accounts closed. 2 cousins in court wearing borrowed humility. EFCC released a 1-paragraph update. Interference discouraged. Witnesses protected. It sounded like a proverb. One Saturday, after the center session, Cunnell asked the counselor for a minute. "May I say something to both of you?" he asked. She nodded, arms folded, watchful. He turned to me. "I'm sorry," he said again. Not a new quote, but a new voice. "For the plane. For the words. For the games with paper. I will not ask you to forget. I will ask to keep proving. I would like to support Timmy's first trip to Accra. Properly. With your consent, with tickets that have both our names and the one thing we didn't have that day, respect." The counselor looked at me over the top of her glasses. It was my yes to give or my no to keep. I thought of USA aunties who wrote me messages online. Women who had forgiven men in degrees, not in floods. Women who sent me prayers with screenshots of their own co-parenting apps. I thought of Timmy's bottle caps lined like runway lights. I thought of the Ghana order we won, and the insulted registrar, and the way air feels when it isn't borrowed. "Not yet," I said, "but soon. When the class signs your certificate." When the center writes the word unsupervised and means it. When our boy can hear airport and smile without counting breaths. Then, yes, we'll go. Together, maybe. Or one weekend you, one weekend me. But with respect. He nodded. I'll work for it. He did. It wasn't perfect. He missed one class and apologized without filters. He overbought snacks once and learned that sugar is not love. He said sorry when Timmy repeated phrases he shouldn't have heard from uncles. He paid arrears and then paid on time. He started bringing a notebook to the center, writing down instructions like, inhaler here, and crowds are loud. He stopped wearing his expensive watch to impress people and started wearing a plain one to keep promises. And then, months later, the sky over Lagos wore its velvet face and the airport felt like a second chance. We queued with aunties and babies and a man carrying a drum too big to be polite. Our passports were stamped with small thumps that sounded like yes. Cunnel met us at the gate with consent papers signed in clean ink, eyes a little shy around Timmy's excitement. Safe trip, he said. And it wasn't a performance. Bring me groundnuts. We will, Timmy grinned, standing on his toes to see the plane. We boarded together. Not a private jet with quiet sin, but a regular plane with aunties swapping meat pies and a baby doing the math of crying and choosing not to. The captain's voice came warm and practiced. The flight attendants did their ballet of instructions. I buckled Timmy in, checked the inhaler in the seat pocket by habit, touched his cheek, and let myself breathe like a woman whose life was stitched together by small, honest hands. Over Accra, the ocean glittered like it had forgiven all of us before we even asked. We landed under gold light. Kent brightened the market like happy weather. Plantains sizzled in oil that smelled like something older than our mistakes. We walked hand in hand, and Timmy announced to the air, "We made it!" We sent a photo to the co-parenting app. Timmy under a mural, my hand in his, a caption that said, "When we fly with respect, we all land well." The counselor replied with a smiley that looked like pride. Remy sent 3 words, brick by brick. Kojua sent 1 bridge. Even Gozi, dramatic as always, wrote, "Madam, you gave us a revenge story that became repair. Collect your flowers." Back in Lagos weeks later, the story cooled into a lesson. I kept the flash drive in a small box with a label that said, "Keep breathing." I kept the court orders in a folder named Brick. I kept the inhaler pouch by the door and, beside it, a note on a yellow sticky. Sky calm. Ground honest. If you are a woman watching from Atlanta, Nairobi, Houston, Johannesburg, if you know domestic betrayal, infidelity in marriage, emotional manipulation, public disgrace, co-parenting conflict, hear me. Your voice is not a shout. It is a record. Keep paper. Keep breath. Keep going. Thank you for staying till the end of this journey on Folktales by Olabisi. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. Share it with someone who needs courage today. What do you think? Should Adana agree to an unsupervised weekend next, or keep it gradual for another 6 months? Comment your thoughts on the betrayal, the repair, and what you'd do.